Welcome. It's Leah Richeimer. Oh my goodness, we have so many exciting emails that came in. We're going to get to those questions. I'm going to quickly read. We're on page, Marriage Secrets, page 41 at the bottom. We're talking about Born to Cherish, and we're going to go right into it. I'm going to read for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to take your questions. Born to Cherish. And now the truth finally comes out. The very first secret we learn in this book is that being cherished does not start with the husband. You hear that? It starts with the wife. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but after working with hundreds of women on this, it's conclusive. First, get a pen, write this down. First, a woman must be willing and eager to be cherished, and only then can her husband cherish her. Another strategy, any other strategy that we tried failed. This book is packed with strategies to being cherished. Oh, is that how you want me to hold it? You keep changing your mind. Like this? That's good? Okay, I'm getting comfortable. Okay, she's nodding. Okay, book is packed with strategies to being cherished. But the big secret that you must etch into your heart is being cherished always starts first with a shift in the woman's heart, mind, and actions. How can it be the woman can change just a few simple actions and her whole marriage turns around? And this is a guarantee. This is a chazal. This is from Shemayim, God's Torah. He gave us the Torah, and then he told us exactly how to be happy. This is a guarantee. A woman can change a few simple actions and her whole marriage turns around. Doesn't the husband need to make a major overhaul, right? A major overhaul before anything good can ever happen? Ask the hundreds of women who have learned the marriage secrets in this book over the past 5 years, 10 years. Maybe it's because women are relationship beings, but when a woman makes even the most minor of adjustments, the marriage begins to flourish. Beforehand, my students are genuinely skeptical, and it certainly doesn't seem fair that women are the ones to do the work. But after trying just one simple secret, and seeing its success, women are empowered to try ever more. It's somewhat addicting to feel that your actions create the marriage you've always wanted. You're going to see this very quickly. Probably if you are already up to, this is episode 13 or whatever, if you're already still with us, you're probably seeing miracles going on in your life right now. Baruch Hashem, they should continue. Soon they are pros at using these secrets, and so many students have told me that they feel like they are suddenly married to new, improved husbands. But even more importantly, and that's not the goal here, but I don't know if I said that right. It's not the goal to improve your husbands, but when you follow our Masorah of what it means to be a wife, your husband ups his game. Witness it, okay? But even more importantly, our 3,000-year-old legacy for marital harmony is designed to maximize a wife's happiness. If you follow the secrets in this book, you too will be happier in your marriage and in your life than you ever thought possible. When I began implementing the teachings of our sages, there was a part of me that resented the fact that I was the one who was doing all the work. What happened to the concept of an equal partnership? But the effects of my actions were almost immediate. When I made the effort to respect my husband more, but not interrupting him mid-sentence, he behaved in kind. When I thanked him more often after learning that our sages place great emphasis on gratitude, the warmth in our home increased tremendously. For every action that I initiated, there were clear, beautiful rewards to me personally, irrespective of the increase in shalom bayis. I very quickly dropped my determination to have everything in our marriage be fair, okay? And instead, I focused on being the best wife I was learning how to be, which somehow not only impacted my husband's actions, but also brought the closeness for which I always longed. Here's the good news. Deep within the internal workings of every man, behind the business bravado, the intellectual dexterity, and the flurry of activity, lies a person with a driving passion and goal in his life to cherish his wife with every fiber of his being. This is because making his wife happy is one of the most crucial components of his own happiness. The Gemara says, one who lives without a wife is living without happiness. The Midrash further points out, a person without a wife is incomplete. Thus, he needs his wife to complete himself. Rav Eliyahu Dessler explains, how does his wife become one with him? Listen to this, when he gives to her and invests in her, they become one. He states further, love is the result of giving More than giving is the result of love. Our husbands were designed to give us exactly what we desire. It was only one exactly in the book, but I'm extrapolating. Exactly what we desire, to be cherished. We, on the other hand, were designed to receive exactly what our husband most wants to give us. It's a fabulous setup, and one that is designed to produce extraordinarily happy people. Rest assured, this book will teach you all of the tools you need. But it's important to recognize that, unfortunately, the anti-cherished movement that has swept our world has made it almost impossible for a husband to do the job he was created for. A man often lacks the satisfaction of seeing his words or actions hit their mark. A husband often lives in a constant state of disappointing his wife. I once was teaching women, and I'm like, right now, how many of your husbands feel like they're disappointing you? She seems perennially upset with him about one thing or another, and no matter how hard he tries, he can never fully get on her good side for more than a brief period of time. This can leave him confused, angry, and ultimately apathetic. You keep trying something, and it's never getting you anywhere. You get apathetic. You don't want to continue. Why should he work so hard if he can never please his wife anyway? So with the whole world against us, and with all the water that has passed under the bridge of our own relationship, how do we reawaken our husband's driving goal to cherish us? Okay, ladies, I'm taking questions. Turn off your mute. Go ahead, Cherish.
Okay, so from Devora, sometimes my husband does small things that bother me, but I try to shake them off and do something for him so my love grows for him. Like last night, for example, I made a very fancy dinner. I set the table beautifully with candles. I had the house cleaned, my baby put to bed, cleared the table and did the dishes. I was the perfect wife, but I didn't feel any more loving towards my husband. I felt like I wanted more space from my husband. What do you think this is?
What do I think what is? You mean
the fact that her husband does small things that bother her, and even though she tries to shake them off by doing things which should inspire love in her, she actually doesn't feel that way. After doing this amazing dinner and setting it all up, she still was like, I don't even want to be around him, let alone feel loving towards him.
Okay. So I hear the issue. It's a little bit like saying, I lost my keys. So you're standing there under, and there's a what do you call that? What's the thing of this on the side of the street? Come on, guys. Lamppost.
A lamppost.
Lamppost. That's really not what they call, right? Headlight.
Street, a lamppost.
A street light. Thank you. Okay, so you have a street light, right? And you're looking there for your keys and looking everywhere, you can't find them. And someone comes up to you, oh, you lost your keys, I'll help you find them. Where did you lose them? And said, oh, down the street by my car. Well, why are you looking here? Well, that's where the light is. It's like, so she's doing dishes and making him a meal and whatever. It has almost nothing to do with the connection between connecting with her husband. It could be that a person does things to try to be, a good wife, to feel closer to their husband. But if doing all those activities that wouldn't be something I would necessarily think would create closeness with your husband, or create the fact that he's not, what he does isn't annoying you. So the actions that she's taking it's very wonderful, and you should try to do those nice things. It makes you feel good about yourself to do kind acts for others. So I'm not saying to knock that, but I'm saying if things that her husband is doing annoy her, she needs to work on that. That needs to be what she needs to work on. So a lot of that work can be done on yourself. So there was a woman, and she said to me, she said, Leah, this woman was very, very annoyed with her husband. He drove like a maniac, and he this and that and the other. And so she just told him, listen, I'm not getting in the car with you anymore. When he came to her and they were going to a wedding, he says, okay, get in the car. And she said, I'm going to take my own car because I don't feel safe when you drive. And Leah, the man shaped up. And he started driving better because she did that. Isn't that a great thing? And I'm like, no, that's called blackmail. Okay. So her getting him to be better, it was coercive, and maybe it worked for a short while, but it didn't bring them closer. So what can you do in that situation? When she is sitting there and she's having this issue with him about his driving, I said to her, I said to this person who was telling me the story, so I couldn't speak with the person directly, but I said, there's probably all sorts of built up anger and upset that this woman has about that husband. And this is a way she can get back at him that he can't really argue with. So it's not bringing closer. Don't do vindictive acts. So to answer this woman's question, it was Devorah, I think, to answer her question is, in order for her to become closer to her husband, she needs to find things that he does that annoy her and figure out tactics. So if he chews with his mouth open, she needs to move her seat so she's sitting next to him instead of across from him. If he is annoying because he grinds his teeth, she needs to get earplugs. All the little things that annoy her about him, find solutions other than nagging him to stop. Okay. And because you do that, God himself will brings shalom, that brings bracha into the home, and Hashem will miraculously make your parnasa go better, or he'll miraculously make the car that kept breaking down. So he went to the mechanic and, they had to pay $14 for a little part and it's fixed and it works perfectly. You know what I mean? Blessing will come into your life if you go for shalom. So whatever you have to do without nagging is the number one way to go weiter, to move forward. So, okay, next question.
Okay. Hi, Chaya here. What are some actual steps to take to work on ourselves to get closer to our husband? Basically, she'd like some practical steps.
How to get closer to your husband. Okay, so we're going to get into a lot in this whole course, but basically, after you've got to watch all the shows, binge watch. Some practical tools. One is, here's number one: laugh at his jokes. Number two, that biggest secrets ever. Okay. Number two, do kind things for him. Number three, remember things that he likes. Number four, when he does something that you don't like, try and let water off a duck's back. If you find that you can't let go of something, communicate to him, but do it as nicely as possible. Tell him, I was trying to just get over it, but it really upset me this morning when you said I was the fattest person that ever walked the earth. No, he better not say that. Whatever it is, I just wanted you to know, I don't want to make a big deal of it, but what you said hurt me, or what you did, hurt my feelings. And next time, can you please, you didn't bring the milk home, and I just felt like I had to remind you 4 times and you still didn't do it. Made me felt not taken care of. So I don't want to make a big deal of it. And I would memorize those words, write them down. I don't want to make a big deal of it, and then tell your thing and then end it and go on to the next thing. Okay. So those are ways to get closer. Other things you can do are ask him, listen to him, ask him how his day was or whatever. And I'm like, well, my husband doesn't talk, Leah, and I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe he talks and he starts telling you about his day and you tell him what he should have done and how he should have acted and whatever, maybe he's not talking because your reactions and your warmth, he doesn't feel warmth from you when he opens his mouth. So get into the habit of asking him these questions and saying, I really want to know how you told me that you really, not to bother you last night because you had a report that you had due. How did the report go? Tell me about it. Listen to your husband. That's the number one way to get close fast. Okay, good. Let's go to the next question. Good.
Okay, so she actually added to that. What if we do all these steps and they don't show us the love we need?
Okay, so fine. So you have to understand, if you have to know yourself and do a lot of introspection, because there's some women who are bottomless pits of needing love, and no matter how much love is poured onto them, it doesn't fill their bucket. And that's from poor childhood, bad, experiences, trauma, not feeling love from their parents, feeling a habit of not feeling love from their parents, having bad breakups in their past. A lot of stuff that we carry around, a lot of our baggage that we're hoisting around interferes with our closeness to our husband that predates our husband by 10 years, 20 years. So you have to know yourself. Are you capable of feeling love? And don't look, oh, well, my best friend loves me and I feel that. Well, it's very easy. She doesn't live under your roof and she's not, leaving the toothpaste half squeezed and, and not eating the dinner you spent 4 hours making, and then they're, picking through it and not really eating it, So can you feel love? And you need to do a lot of introspection to think at what are my blocks to feeling loved. It could be your husband. It really could be, and he needs to work on that. But good 75% of it could be her own inability to feel love that he's already giving her. And he may not understand her love language, her what she needs. He might think, well, I bought you flowers and well, I gave you a present. She's like, no, I don't want you to listen to me. So you have to learn your own self, whether you can feel love and also what you need from your husband. We're so busy confused about we're going to get into this a lot in this show, about our needs and our wants. We get them on top of each other and then we demand everything of our husband. And if we learn to separate those out and we leave the wants to the side, we'll get those, maybe not, but we give him our needs and we let him know what our needs are, he has the best chance of fulfilling them, and we'll get there. Okay, next question.
Okay, from Hannah. What if cherishing feels a little smothering? And before you answer that, because it's sort of in a similar vein, is Malka asks, is being cherished similar to being appreciated? Because I remember you mentioned the importance of a woman being appreciated.
Okay, so cherished and appreciated are different. And what was the first question?
Okay, about what if cherishing feels a little smothering? So I think people are not sure what cherishing really
Okay,
means.
fine. So cherishing is the devotion that you've always wanted from your husband, that feeling of that he just is totally devoted to you, that you're the number one priority in his life. He may not always show it because he's off busy, he doesn't realize how much a woman needs that, but he's off busy earning parnasa or learning, or he's doing his own thing. And then he comes home and where's my food? Okay. So but a feeling of cherished means that when he's there and you're talking to him and whatever, you get a sense that your happiness is the single most important thing to him. Problem is, men do not know how to show that in the natural. They don't naturally. It doesn't come to them naturally, and it doesn't come to them long term. So you might show your husband and tell him and whatever, and you're going to have to tell him for the rest of your life, every day, every week, every month, ongoingly. You're going to have to show him what you need, and that's just your job. Rather than being mad at him for not loving you the way you need to be loved and the way you want to be loved, it's constantly being the vessel to receive his love in a way that is inspiring to him. So I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this step by step. But if you can hoist onto yourself that responsibility, that accountability for getting cherished, rather than pointing to him and saying, he doesn't cherish me the way I need to. He doesn't know how. He doesn't even have the language. He doesn't have the DNA. He doesn't know how. And so you need to milk it out of him. And once you do that, you'll have that appreciation and that cherish that you've always wanted. Yeah. We'll teach you how. Don't worry, step by step. Okay, next question.
Okay, amazing. So it seems that your laugh at the jokes comment got a lot of stuff. Somebody asked, Lila asks, do you still need to laugh at your husband's jokes if they're inappropriate and make you uncomfortable?
Good question. I think you can tell him that, laugh first and tell him they're inappropriate, that they make you a little uncomfortable or inappropriate. There is, I asked the Shiloh many, many years ago, and I hope I'm counting it correctly, but something like the husband liked to say some very inappropriate things that kind of embarrassed her, but they gave him a special thrill of, we have, in other words, for him, it was an expression of closeness and bonding because they had special intimacy together. They could be really close to each other in that way. And he could let down his hair with her and, whatever. And it's also kind of a romantic thing. That's how he felt it. And of course you have to, certain times a month that's appropriate, certain times it's not. But let's say it's in the appropriate time. For her to just discount it and shut him down, this is how his expression of closeness. So I would be very, very reluctant as the wife to completely shut him down. If there's a way you can, what's the word? Get over your own uncomfortability for it. I would let him know. I would say, it's funny, but it's also a little bit, like that, just so he knows. And you can squirm every time as part of your joking, like laughing together about it. But I wouldn't shut it down unless you're miserable with it. And then you have to talk to him and say, every time you make a comment like that, it makes me I know you're trying to get closer to me, but it makes me feel farther from you. So I don't know what to do. What do you think? How do you think we can solve this? Put things back in his lap. He's a guy. He'll take it seriously, please God, if you say it with your heart. And maybe he'll come up with a better solution. Or you can say, I was thinking when you say XYZ and it makes me so uncomfortable, maybe instead of using this word, use this other word, even though I'll know what you mean by the first word, but at least I won't feel so comfortable like that. Again, this is a work in progress. You're talking with him, you're trying to work it through. But again, if he's making humor, you're receiving it. That's the ground rule that will bring you closer. Okay, good.
Okay, so again, like I said, the jokes was a popular one. So Pessy says, you mean laugh at the same joke every time he says it? Based on your advice, I'll buy him a joke book or a comedy CD so that he can actually tell different jokes, since I would like to laugh authentically. I don't like to pretend.
Right, pretend. The thing of, I want to be authentic and I want to be honest and I want to be real, and truth is the most important thing to me, right? Okay, that is a non-Jewish concept in the world at large. It's not, obviously you want emes, you want to be as truthful as possible, but let me just ask you this question. If you had to choose between emes, which is truth, and shalom, which is peace, which would you choose? Well, of course, emes, the truth, right? Wrong. Okay. Shalom is higher value, a higher mida, a higher trait than emes. It's a higher thing in the world, shalom.
From Margot, if someone has a lot of growth in their own personal journey, can they grow with their husband? Or do they have to work on themselves first before they can really put anything into their marriage?
Okay, so you have to understand. I told the story about the one candle, what Rabbi Bess said when I went to daven for my sons-in-law. They're one neshama. Okay, so you guys are one neshama. So there's no, if you grow, he grows. If he grows, you grow. There's no, first you're going to work on yourself, then you're going to bring it to him. It's like, no, if you are working on something, even your children, someone said to me, listen, I really want to put some effort into my shalom bias. I think it's so important, but I have one kid who has just diagnosed as ADHD, and I have another kid who's really, really struggling socially with her classmates and whatever. I'm up to here. You know what the answer is from the Torah? If you work on shalom bias and you listen to your husband and take care of your husband and respect your husband and do all the things that a wife can do to bolster that home, you do those, and suddenly the teacher will come back and say, we did a second test on your son. He really actually doesn't have ADHD. It must have been, he was tired because he came back from camp and didn't sleep well. And your other kid, what was the other problem with the other kid? Social problems, so a new kid comes, all of a sudden a new kid from out of town moves in and changes the whole dynamic of that classroom. God will take care of you if you take care of your shalom bias. And that means your husband, it means everything, everywhere. Try to be a good, try to go for shalom wherever you are. If you're single, if you're divorced, if you're married a second time, whatever, try and go for shalom everywhere. That will bring bracha, because I asked that Shabbat to Bado. But the point is, if you work on shalom bias, blessing will come pouring into your home. Okay, next question.
Okay, so again, it seems like the jokes was a really, really hit home for many people. Okay. In regards to jokes, what if the inappropriate jokes were made at a Shabbos table and it was so rude and obnoxious that you felt like crying and it made you feel embarrassed?
That's a hard one. The problem with this is the first thing a woman does is blames her husband on this. And the truth is, why did God give her that particular challenge at this particular time? So this might be an issue of going to a third party, because if your husband is, so insensitive that he can't make that judgment call in his own mind to not say terribly embarrassing things. Again, it may be that, what criteria, by what, is it by the wife who happens to be very, careful, super sensitive to these kinds of things. So, if you, this is a dumb thing, but if you like asked 1,000 people, would all 1,000 say, oh yeah, that's totally inappropriate? Or would half say, yeah, it's inappropriate? Or would half say, oh, it's fine, or that's disgusting or whatever. I forgot which half, but you know what I mean. Anyway, but let's just say what he said was really off the charts, not appropriate. I think the best way to handle that probably would be to ask your Rav, or a different Rav, or out of town Rav, or a mentor or something like that. And getting a third party involved is probably the way to do it. And sometimes, I've even had wives go to the Rebbitzin of the Rav that the husband holds by. And, again, you have to be very, very careful, because you could be Lashon Hara, could be talking about gossip behind his back. But at the same point, you also have to have an understanding of, you have to be able to feel like there's somewhere you can turn to get these things answered. So I've had women go to the Rebbitzin and tell them the issue, and then they talk to the husband, and then their husband gets in front of the whole shul and make sure that guy's in the audience and says, by the way, so I'm gonna, he'll tell this story about from Chazal, and that story, and then he'll say, oh, also, when you're saying things at the Shabbos table, make sure that they're, you're not bringing the table down by saying inappropriate comments, something like that, and he'll fix the problem. So that's another way to handle it. If you feel you have a good relationship with communications, that you can handle conflicts well with your husband, then it is something you can talk to your husband about, if you think he'll be able to hear what you have to say. Okay, here's the homework for the week. The homework is one time this week to laugh at your husband's joke, even if you have to pretend, even if it's not funny, to laugh at your husband's joke. And then you can type us in info questions@ladiestalkshow.com to tell us what happened. We'd love to hear input. Okay, thanks for being with us.